Hi and welcome. Today I wanted to share with you my trip to Unryu Keikoku Falls in the Tochigi prefecture of Japan. This is a ravine between Mount Niaho and Mount Akanagi, which hosts stunning views throughout, especially in the winter. So many people climb between mid-December to early March. Today I wish to share with you my trip to that area, as well as give some advice for anyone who wishes to make this climb themselves. One way of getting there is by train, which is what I did. From Tokyo you can take the Tochigi Express from either Asakusa or Kita-Senju. Tickets can be bought in advance to this train, slightly cheaper than buying them on the day. However, this can be difficult with climbing. I would just suggest buying the earliest possible train and then the latest you're comfortable with from Tochigi. On the day I climbed, the earliest train was 6:43 in the morning, and this seems quite consistent. At Tochigi there's more than enough to keep yourself occupied, though most shops close between 5 and 6. Restaurants will remain open. I would just suggest planning this in advance. I'm not familiar with Asakusa, but at Kita-Senju you need to go through the main gates of the station using an IC card or a ticket bought from the station, and then follow the lines for the Tochigi Express, at which point you show your pre-booked ticket or buy a ticket for that express line. From Tokyo it takes about an hour and 40 to 50 minutes to get to Tochigi. Those more familiar with Tokyo may have become comfortable with how frequent the metro trains come. However, in the early hours these can be a lot longer apart, so I would just bear that in mind when you're planning your trip. Once at Tochigi station, it's about a 5-kilometer walk to the trailhead and then a 5-kilometer walk from there to the falls. At the start, a bus can be used to save about 2 kilometers of walking, though the route is not that difficult and just walking straight up the main road, so it's more up to how comfortable you are with either taking the bus or walking. An alternative way of getting there, and probably a lot easier, is by using the car. There is a small car park at the trailhead, which as far as I've seen can get quite busy in the winter, but if you take a car then obviously you can climb at your own pace and come back when you're comfortable. Once at the trailhead, it's about a 5 to 6 hour walk to the falls and back at average pace, though you may want to budget about an hour for lunch as well. This is an uphill climb, but it's not very steep over the distance that you're walking, so though there may be some difficult parts, I would not say this is a particularly difficult climb. This is a winter climb, but if you're just walking in the area you do not need much gear. Of course, warm clothes, food and water are essential, but past that, crampons and an ice pick are possible to use, though the area is probably more suited to ice cleats and trekking poles. If not frozen over, there are some small patches of water to cross, so good mountain boots and gaiters are highly recommended. Now I would like to share some clips of my trip there and give a voiceover here and there about some of the parts. My trip began at Kita-Senju, where I boarded the Tochigi Express. On the train I was able to catch up on some sleep, as well as enjoy a breakfast of an onigiri from a local shop and a warm green tea from a vending machine on the station. Onigiris are very popular in Japan. They're a triangular shaped rice ball, usually containing some meat or fish, often wrapped in seaweed, and very delicious. Vending machines are also very popular throughout Japan, and many offer warm drinks, which are very welcome in the early hours of the day, especially during the winter. The train had charging ports, so it was good to get that last little bit of charge before I knew I wouldn't be able to. Overall, the trip on the train was very nice and easy. I arrived at Tochigi station at around 8:30 and ready to begin my trek to the falls. The walk to the trailhead was easy, just following the main road. And at the end of it is Shinkyo Bridge, a pretty popular tourist attraction in the area and can look incredible when it's snowing. On the way to the trailhead there's a kaizendo. At the time this looked very peaceful and amazing with the patches of snow sitting on its roof. Kaizendos are a structure in Buddhist temples. The name translates to Founder's Hall, and fittingly these host a statue of the founder of that temple. I'm not sure which temple this kaizendo is a part of, but in this area there are several temple buildings to see. It's difficult to not get distracted, and I'd recommend walking more in the area if you can budget a small bit of time. It doesn't take long to reach the trailhead, where you cross a small dam which, without seeing anyone for so long and the cloudy weather, these man-made structures seemed pretty daunting, especially with the river underneath echoing loudly off the mountains around. The walk up the path from here was not very difficult and hosted many amazing views. Being such a remote area, you hear a lot of the wildlife around, one of which was this bird I was able to take a picture of. However, as much as I've tried, I cannot find the name of it. If you do know, please let me know in the comments below. Eventually you come to this open space, which is about halfway to the falls, and from here you can see Mount Niho and Mount Akanagi. If it has snowed a lot, the path can be difficult to see, though if you're following a map you shouldn't have too much trouble just going straight across. Further on you come to this structure, which many people seem to regard this as the start of the falls, with further in looking more and more beautiful. As much as I wanted to go as far as possible into the falls, it wasn't long after this point that the weather was starting to get so bad I wasn't comfortable being out in this region for too long with limited vision. It had just started to snow in the area, making it look even more beautiful, but there would be a worry of finding routes back. Having said this, I wanted to spend as much time as I could in this area, making sure I took as many photos and videos as it all looked so amazing. I hope to come back in the future and see even further down the valley. The video exaggerates this, but as I was leaving the falls, more clouds were starting to cover the area. Eventually I came to this area. For the first time, it was definitely clear that turning around was the correct idea.
I don't get nervous, but I'm starting to get a bit shaky, you know? I mean, I'm a little bit weak.
Visibility was low, and I did not want to be out here too long with no one else in sight, as it hadn't been since the main road I'd seen another person. In the end, it did not take too long to reach the trailhead again, and from there it's a simple walk back to the Tochigi station area. It had been snowing for the rest of the journey, which made the tree line look even more beautiful than the first time I had passed it. Eventually, I reached a local coffee shop and stopped to have a coffee and sandwich for a late lunch. Close to the station, I was able to enjoy an ageyuba manju. This is a local sweet for Nikko, and is basically a fried manju. Manju is a traditional Japanese sweet, which is anko, a red bean, wrapped in a flour-based pastry. It was very tasty, and I'd highly recommend it if you are in the Nikko area. The train back was as easy as getting there, and a nice time to rest. So that was my journey. I hope it was an enjoyable watch and can help inform anyone who wishes to go themselves. The pictures and videos here do not give the area justice, so I'd highly recommend going if you can make a trip out there yourself. The remote nature of this area makes it so beautiful, but at the same time it can test your nerves. On the day I climbed, I hadn't seen anyone for the whole journey, and the clouds were covering more and more of the mountains as I was going, which did get a bit scary at times. Of course it was fine, but I'll never forget that mix of feelings of amazement from the beauty of the area against the dread of the looming clouds. Other pictures I've seen have shown it on a clear day, and it looks like a much more comfortable climb. So if you can, I would recommend planning around the weather. Either way, it's not that physically demanding and does not require much gear, so it's a good introduction for anyone who wishes to try out winter climbing or hiking. Overall, I really enjoyed my time and will definitely be looking at going back next year. I live in Japan and enjoy climbing the mountains that it has to offer. I hope to document a lot of these travels on this channel. If you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe, and feel free to comment with any questions or suggestions of where to climb next. Thank you, and look after yourself.